Well, it's that time of year again where a little rodent is plucked up out of the ground and decides whether or not we get 6 more weeks of winter or not. Whether I believe that has any impact on the weather itself, it's, really up to interpretation. What do you think?
I blame the weatherman.
Yep.
On this. I mean,
safe bet.
Yeah, no, I mean, a fucking 20-pound rodent telling me when winter's gonna end and when spring's gonna start.
It's not. The math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, it's not mathin' at all.
All right, well, let's get into it. Today's episode is
The Terminator.
I thought we were doing Groundhog Day.
Shit, what's the wrong movie again?
Shit, I always do that.
Oh, I mean, I can't help it, man. Come on, it's The Terminator.
Yeah.
It was on TV. What am I gonna do? Not watch The Terminator?
It's Schwarzenegger. You're gonna watch it.
Exactly. Come on.
I have fond memories of watching this growing up. I don't remember the first time I watched it. I must have been maybe 13 or 14 at the time.
Yeah, this was what, 92, 93?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's when because I used to watch this movie a lot when I was younger. I mean, not like an everyday type of thing, but I mean, if it was on, I would definitely watch it. And leading up to Groundhog's Day, it was always on, especially, like AMC and things like that. So I would always watch this movie.
I think it'd be weird if you watched it every day because he relives the same day over and over. So you'd be reliving the same day over and over while watching the movie over and over.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've gone cross-eyed.
I do like in the movie when he's with the 2 drunk guys and they're getting in the car and like one guy's like, nah, come on, you're far too drunk. Give me your keys. Friends don't let drunk friends drive drunk or whatever. And then he gets in the car.
I think he just says, friends don't let friends drive.
Yeah. But then he gets in the car and backs up. And they just Phil has the other drunk guy and they just walk out in the street and the car pulls back up and he's like, I'm far too drunk to drive. So he's like, yeah, I'll just take over. Well, when they're driving, he was like, what if there was no tomorrow? And he's like, what? No tomorrow? I mean, there's no consequences? You can do anything you want. And then that's when it clicks for Phil. And he's like, it took him that long to realize. Because I think by this point, he had already gone 3 or 4 days living the same day over. And it took him that long. I think that would have been something I had realized on the second day.
Yeah, and we had kind of talked about how many days he actually relived Groundhog Day, and it's just too difficult to add up.
Yeah, it's too difficult to do the math.
Because they, initially when he starts reliving the same day over, you can obviously tell that it's one day after the other, but then it'll only show a clip of each of the days because there's a specific moment in the day that he's trying to, I guess, quote unquote, correct himself, how he responds to the certain situation. Now, when it comes to movies like these, because I want to say this might be the first one that they did like this, but then there have been others since where somebody's reliving the same day.
Right.
There's been a couple Christmas movies that I can think of, like 12 Dates of Christmas, Pete's Christmas, that has the guy from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. There was, Edge of Tomorrow, the one that Tom Cruise did. And, they kind of took on the same thing. It's like, okay, well, we have to figure out the one thing that's going to allow this day to switch over to the next day.
Yeah.
And for Phil, I think it was
love.
It had to be love.
Yeah.
It had to be. The old sap. But I have no idea. It seems like he relived Groundhog Day at least 6 months to a year, perhaps.
Yeah.
He had time to learn the piano. You said he learned French, but I think he just memorized that one poem after watching that clip again.
Well, because even after that, he had I think that's the first time when he says that one line from the poem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first night that she ends up back at his bed and breakfast. And she was like, no, I really can't stay. Because she's not, she's one of these ladies who's like, I'm not easy, buddy. And
I'm not the type to hit it and quit it.
yeah. So, but he was like, no, I got this French poetry book right here. I can read to you. So it's telling me like unless he just memorized the entire book.
Yeah, I mean, I can pick up a book that's in another language and I can kind of fiddle my way through it, you know? Yeah. As long as it's using like English letters or whatever and I guess not English letters, but letters that we recognize. Right. You know, because I know that there's other countries that have their own alphabet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what is, standout scene for you? I know we like doing this.
I don't really know if it's like an actual one scene, but you have, and this is how I always remembered the movie growing up. You have Phil who starts off and you could tell he's just an asshole. He starts reliving this day over and over, then kind of starts becoming like nice in a way. And then all of a sudden I think he's probably like maybe the 6-month mark. He's just like, fuck this day. I hate this day. I can't. So then all of a sudden he just turns to the asshole where he's just like, oh yeah, no, what, you're behind the camera, Larry. Why don't you untie your tongue? You can get out here and talk. I remember when this day used to mean something. And he's like, so he goes on all these tirades and stuff, and then goes to the point where he's like, I'm tired of reliving this day over and over and over because nobody else in the town remembers except for him. So he's going through this day over and over and over. And he was like, there's only one thing I can do. Just got to kill myself. So he kills himself numerous times in numerous different ways, but always wakes up at 6 a.m. the next day.
Well, put your tiny hand in mine.
But then he goes back to being nice again. So it's just like this huge roller coaster of emotions that he's going through. And I think that's what makes it funny. Yeah. I think that's what makes a lot of it funny, is just because you never know exactly what Phil you're going to get on that day.
Yeah.
But I think possibly the funniest scene, I would think, in the entire movie is when he overacts on the... Because the first time him and Rita, the woman that he really wants to be with, that's his producer, and she's like, I don't want to be with you. Like, you're an asshole. I have to work with you because I need a paycheck. But then the first night when they're building the snowman together, all of that was just so natural. But then at the end of the date, it fails. So he goes back to that. It cuts back to the same moment when they're building the snowman. And he was like, God, I can't wait to do this with my own kids one day. I want so many kids. I want to adopt. I want to have kids of my own. And then that kid hits him. He's like, hey, that kid just hit us with a snowball. He's like, yeah, come on. And then he's like throwing him. He's like, oh, wow, this is great. I hope I do this with my own kids one day. Hey, are any of you kids up for adoption? Yeah. It's probably one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, there are quite a few moments that kind of stand out for me. I like the interactions that he has with the lady at the B&B.
Yeah,
because she's like the first woman or the first person that he really interacts with, except for the guy in the hallway.
Yeah,
he does interact with him when he's leaving his room to go down to get breakfast or whatever.
Hey, off to see the groundhog.
Yeah, I sure am.
So what do you think? 6 more weeks of winter?
Predicting March 21st.
Hey, that's a heck of a prediction. Come to think of it, I think the first day of spring is March 21st.
Yeah. How about them apples? So he goes down and he interacts with the lady. I don't know what her role is.
She's he's at a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
And she's like the owner, manager, runner of the bed and breakfast.
So it's interesting how, I guess because it's a smaller town, she memorizes people's names that are staying there because she addresses him as Mr. Connors.
Yeah.
And he somehow remembers her last name because he addresses her as Mrs. I can't remember. It's not important, but that he interacts with her, and he's like, is it possible to get a cappuccino? And then she's like,
oh, I don't think that. And he was like, know how to spell cappuccino? He's like, coffee's fine.
He mumbles things under his breath, but then he goes and just gets the regular coffee. Are you planning on leaving today?
Oh, chances of departure today, 100%.
You know, there's talk of a blizzard.
And then he's like, yeah, see, all that cool air is going to come in from the west, but all this moisture from the south is going to rise up, and it's going to push it. It's going to pass us almost entirely. It'll hit with that, and then we'll get a few flakes of what we like to call snow. But it's most likely going to be about 20% precipitation, down to the teens tonight. It's going to be in the 30s all day, but it's probably just going to mainly hit Altoona. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to talk about the weather, or were you just making chit-chat?
Chit-chat. It's like she's such an asshole.
I know. But the only person in the world that could pull it off is Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Nobody else could do it.
Yeah, so there's that. And then the second day, I guess it's the first repeat of Groundhog Day. He goes down and he's just the same shit's happening. When he hears the two guys on the radio, they're repeating it. He's like, come on, guys, you're playing the tape from yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
He's like, guys, come on, get some new material, guys.
What is this, amateur hour?
Yeah. Come on, this is ridiculous. I'm with Channel 5.
But this time he goes downstairs and he interacts with the same guy in the hallway.
And didn't we just do this yesterday?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think so, friend.
Friendo. Yeah, but yeah, this time when he talks to the lady, he's like, you ever have deja vu? She's like, I don't think so, but I can check with the kitchen. It's like, how have you never heard of deja vu?
You're in your 60s, lady.
And then the second day when he's about to walk out, and she asks him if he's going to be leaving today, he's like, oh, I would say about 75%. 75-80.
Yeah.
So those little interactions in the morning, that stands out to me as pretty funny.
Yeah.
Couple moments like that before they get up to Punxsutawney, is that what it is? Punxsutawney.
Yeah.
So Rita, who's I say she's a new producer for the Weather Channel or for the news. She comes across as being new.
Yeah, I don't know if she's new to it. I always kind of assumed that she was new to the job. Mm-hmm. Because it seems like she knows what she's doing, but at the same time, she's not really kind of sure about some things.
She seems like she's kind of feeling everything out.
Yeah.
But there's this moment at the beginning of the show. Phil had just finished doing the news, and she's messing with there's a blue screen in the background. She's wearing a blue jacket. So
you
on
just
the
see
TV
her head.
screen, you can see her hands and her head and her pants. And so she's like looking at the monitor. She's kind of like waving her hands around like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she's like laughing to herself.
Look at me.
And then she gets this look on her face like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. She puts her hand on her forehead. I'm like, what? She's embarrassed by herself.
I mean, but it's just so funny because it's almost like one of those ones where you just want that funny guy to be like, oh, don't worry about her. She'll tuck herself out and just go right to sleep.
Yep. She always does this.
Yeah. It's nothing new.
And then as they're driving up, they have the moment where she's like, oh, no, I think it's great. He pops his little head out and he's like, oh my God, I'm going to see my shadow. She does her little impression of the groundhog and everything. And Phil's just being an ass to her.
Yeah.
As he does. And he pulls down the mirror.
Yeah.
The visor. And he's like, no, I want you to do that, groundhog thing again. I want you to see what you look like.
I think the opening scene after he's doing the weather and everything, and he goes and sits back down, and then his co-host on the news says, oh, Phil, you must really love Punxsutawney because this is what, your third year going? He's like, four, Nan. 4. And then he gets up to and when it cuts off, and then he gets up and goes and leaves, and she was like, have fun in Punxsutawney, Phil. And he's like, all right, listen up, hairdo.
Yeah, I want to know what the story is there because there seems to be a little
he obviously hates her.
Yeah.
And it's probably because she's one of those newscasters that seems to me like, oh, I'm going to be upbeat, but I'm also going to rub it in your face that I get to stay in this nice, really warm studio, and you're going to go up there and freeze your little tail off with all these hicks.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to get along very well with pretty much anybody. Even on the road trip up to Punxsutawney, Larry is talking about, he's like, I don't know what your problem is with Punxsutawney. He's like, a while back I had to capture the swallows that go to Capistrano like 6 years in a row. It was great.
Yeah.
Like, what's the big deal? There's the scene where, like, as they're driving up, like, Phil honks the horn because I think they're getting ready to leave and the blizzard hits.
They're trying to leave and that blizzard hits and he's like, what is this? And like, so Phil honks the horn while Larry's driving. But and Larry's like, nope, absolutely not. He's like, nobody honks this horn but me.
You got it, pal. But it's like he's trying to flex.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
That's a weird flex, but...
It's a weird flex. I do like that scene because Phil gets out of the car. He's not wearing a jacket or anything, and it's obviously
he's got his
freezing.
Shirt and tie on.
He's freezing, and he goes up and talks to the trooper.
What's going on, pal?
He's like, we got a blizzard coming in.
No, see... The cold air from the west is going to hit, and it's going to mix with the moisture from the south, and it's going to push past us.
He's like, that moisture's on your head, pal. Yeah. He's like, you got two choices. You can either push ahead.
He's like, turn around and go back to Punxsutawney or sit in your car and freeze your tail off. And he's just like,
it's your choice.
And he's like, I'm thinking.
But then it cuts to them, and I think they're at a gas station, and he's on the payphone, which, throwback.
I know.
When was the last time I used a payphone? I couldn't even tell you. But then the guy, he comes back inside with the snow shovel and whacks Phil in the head with it. But the phone conversation, I don't know who he's talking to. He's like, don't you have like a something for celebrities or emergencies?
He's like, this is both.
Because I'm both.
I'm a celebrity and I have an emergency. It's like, hello?
I think he severely overestimates who he is, And so his first interaction with Ned Ryerson,
Bing!
The most annoying, annoying person in the entire movie.
Yeah. Just the whole thing, like when he first sees him, he's like, Phil? Phil Connors? It's like runs over and he goes like, hey, it's Ned. And then, Phil's just like, I don't know who you are. And he's just like,
now don't tell me you don't remember me. I sure as heck fire if I remember you. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck does that even mean?
Like, Ned Ryerson. He was like,
needle nose Ned.
Yeah, he was like, I did the whistling belly button trick for the talent show. And he was like, bing, like, come on, Ned Ryerson.
I dated your sister a couple times until you told me not to.
Yeah, he's like, come on, Bing. just trying to get him. He's like, Ned Ryerson. He's like, yeah, you got
Phil
it.
Phil clearly does not remember this guy.
Yeah, so he just starts walking. He's like, where are you going? I'll walk with you. And he's like, just had to go see the groundhog. Like, oh, come on, just leave me alone. And then he was like, you're never going to believe what I'm up to. I sell insurance. He's like, by the way, how are you on insurance? I was like, come on, do you have life insurance? Because you know what we say, you can never have enough.
Yeah.
Bing.
You can always use a little more. Am I right or am I right? Am I right? Which, when he does that, it reminds me of Michael Scott.
Yes.
It's like, did Steve Carell get some inspiration from this thing?
Possibly.
You never know. I think so.
Yeah. And, he does it numerous times in the movie where he's like, am I right? But then I think the third or fourth day, he's like, Phil Connors? And he just decks him.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, because he's just like, there's no consequences. We're going to be back here tomorrow.
And up to this point, like, nothing that he's done gets Ned to go away. Nothing that he says deters him from continuing to pursue Phil in this conversation. And, I think day 2, he's like, actually, I'm not feeling that well. Yeah. He's like, well, that's interesting that you mention your health because you know what I do for a living?
He's like, you sell insurance.
Bing!
Bang! Out of the gate!
That's number 2. But yeah, this guy definitely they cast him well.
They did.
You definitely want to punch him in the face for sure.
I think one of the funniest ones is when he finally gets him to leave, is just when he sees him, he's like, Ned Ryerson. He's like, I haven't seen you since high school. And he just grabs him and hugs him, and he was just like, God. He's like, look, I don't know where you're going right now, but is there any possibility you could just call in sick? He's like, nah, I gotta go.
It's like the first time that he actually, okay.
Wait a minute, this has gone too far.
This is really uncomfortable for me. Oh, man. So obviously, if this happens to any of us, we would feel like we've gone clinically insane.
Right.
And just like what you were saying, Phil goes through this roller coaster of emotions. Initially, it's like, okay, what the hell is happening? Then it moves on to like more like acceptance, but I'm kind of irritated at the fact that this keeps happening.
Yeah.
Then he comes to the conclusion, well, there's no consequences, so I'm going to live this thing up. And, you know, he gets to know people that are inside that diner that he's having breakfast at. He meets the one lady,
Nancy Taylor.
And he's like, what's your name?
She's like, Nancy Taylor.
Nancy
and you
Taylor.
are?
And then she's like, where did you go to high school?
She's like, Lincoln High School in Pittsburgh.
Lincoln
Who
High
are
School.
you?
She's like, what was your, I can't remember, English teacher's name or something like that?
And she's like, yeah, but who are, and she was like, no, you had, and she's like, Mrs. Walsh.
Mrs. Walsh. Okay.
Like, okay.
Have a great day.
But I like it because he's like, Nancy, Lincoln, Walsh. And gets up and leaves.
But she's like, hey.
But then the next day, he's walking up and he sees her.
Yeah, he sees her down at the Groundhog Day.
Nancy?
Yeah, what was the name of that? Where they do the Groundhog thing. It has a weird name. And damn it, something stump, not stump.
Yeah, I can't remember
It's going to come to me.
Yeah.
I hope.
But he's just walking up and he was like, Nancy? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, Nancy Taylor. And she's like, yeah. And he's like,
who
yeah.
the fuck are you?
Oh, don't tell me you don't remember me. He's like,
I
come
sure
on.
as heck if I remember you.
Yeah. Then he was like, oh, Phil Connors. I sat next to you in 12th grade English. Mrs. Walsh.
Phil
Yeah.
Connors?
Oh, come on. He's like, I even asked you out to the prom. He was like, yeah, I was a lot shorter then. I've sprouted now.
I don't want to toot my own horn here, but...
And then she was like, oh, yeah, like, oh, wow.
Still not figuring it out, but
and then
she's just going to play along.
Yeah, so then he was like, no. He's like, why don't you wait right here? I have to go do this report really quick. And she's like, oh, you're a reporter? And he's like, yeah, I just go do that. You wait right here. And then she's all excited, like, right here. And he walks away. He's like, wish me luck. And she's like, good luck. And then they're on. I don't think it shows them doing anything. It's just back at his room later that night, and they're making out.
You don't see anything that happens leading up to that point.
Yeah, it just shows the fire and everything, and they're making out. And she was like, "Oh, Phil," and he's like, "Oh, Rita." And she turns on the light, and she was like, "Well, who's Rita?" And he was like, "How should I know?" She's like, "Hey, this isn't like one of those one night stands, is it?" And he was like, "No." He's like, on the contrary, it's opposite of that. It's like, I'm in love with you. I've always been in love with you. This may be forward, but I want you to be my wife. And she's like, oh. And so they start kissing again, and she's like, oh, Phil. And he's like, oh, Rita. And she's like, Nancy. And he's like, whatever.
This is clearly love.
Yeah. But then he gets with someone else, like after he robs the bank, because he's been in this town so long, reliving this same day. And I was telling you, it's like, he's sitting on this wall and he's just like, gust of wind.
He's on a park bench, I think.
And then the wind blows and he's like, a dog barks. And then you hear a dog bark and he's like, truck approaches. But it's the bank truck, and he's like, exit Herman, exit Lou. Like, always has a sour look on his face.
Then the lady with that works at the diner
approaches Doris. She is,
fix your bra, honey.
Yeah. Hey, Herman. Yeah. How are you? How's everything? And he's like, all right, 10.
Can I get a roll of quarters?
But he's counting down. He's like, 10, 9,
car,
7, 6. And then she drops
quarters.
Yeah, she drops quarters everywhere, and then he just 3, 2, and as they're helping her, he just grabs one of the money bags and takes off. And then the guy stands up and he's like, "Did I bring 2 bags out or just one?" And it's like,
I don't know.
God, you're horrible at your job, man.
It's like, you're an armored car guy. You got to pay attention to these details. Like, good Lord, man.
So, but then that night it shows him pulling up in a brand new Mercedes at the movie theater, and he gets out dressed in like all that cowboy gear.
It's like dressed like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. And then a girl gets out wearing a maid, like a French maid outfit, and she was like, "What? I thought we were going to a costume party." And she was like, "Come on, Phil." And he's like, "How many times I got to tell you? Call me Bronco." She was like, "Sorry, Bronco." But they're walking up, and then Nancy goes walking by, and he was like, "Hey, Nancy." And she turns around and like gives him a confused look and walks away, and he's like, "Huh, how about that? My old fiance doesn't even recognize me."
Because she wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some other funny scenes at the diner. So when he realizes that this is his life now.
Yeah. That's it. I've accepted this.
He's at the diner sitting there with Rita, and he's got this just spread
smorgasbord
of just donuts and pastries and danishes and all this
sausage
stuff
and bacon and eggs and all this other crap. And then he lights a cigarette. And that's back when you could do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then Doris is like, "You want some more coffee?" He's like, "Just keep it coming." He grabs like the whole carafe and just starts drinking straight from it.
Which I had never noticed until last night when I was watching it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, whoa. But then, Rita sitting there and she was like, "Don't you worry about things like, cholesterol, your weight, lung cancer?" And he's like, "No, not really."
And I can't remember if it was this time. I can't remember if it was this time or not. But one of the times where they're sitting there together, Rita says something about one of the pastries or one of the dessert type of things. She's like, "Oh, they're just to die for." And then Doris is kind of like leaning over the table, and she's like, "Aren't they?" But it's like, I can't tell if she's being sarcastic.
I know.
Or not. I don't know. That one stood out for me. But the two guys that Phil ends up getting drunk with that one time, before that happens, the one guy, I can't remember the actor's name.
Rick Ducommun.
He turns around because he hears Phil's name. He's like, "Wait, Phil? Like Phil, like the groundhog?"
He's
like, "Yeah, Phil, like the groundhog." Yeah, watch out for your shadow there, pal. But then he's like, "Morons."
Yeah.
"Your bus is leaving."
I do like when they're all drunk and he gets in the car with him and he's driving and he's just like, or no, it was before that. I think they're at the bowling alley and he's just sitting there and he was like, "Have you ever just stared into this dark abyss of the day that just never ends? It just goes over and over and over." And then that one guy is just sitting there and he's like, "I'm living it." It's like,
I do like that guy because when I think they're driving around or before they even get into the car,
let's get some
flapjacks. He's like, "I want flapjacks."
Yeah.
And then after they ride on the railroad tracks.
Well, I think before that, because the cops start chasing him, but he just like pulls up on the curb and smashes into that mailbox.
Yeah, that's how it ends after he dodges the train. But
no, that's how it starts. So like they're driving off because he asked him, he was like, "What if you were just stuck in the same day over and over? Like there is no tomorrow." And then that's when Rick Ducommun's like, "Does that mean no tomorrow? There's no hangovers. There's no consequences. We could do basically whatever we want." And then that's when it clicks. So he just starts driving. He hits that mailbox and the cop is sitting right there and takes off after him. But he was like, "Hey, if you wanted to hit the mailboxes, we would have just let Fred drive."
Yeah.
But then they're like driving off and then they get on the railroad tracks. But as he turns and he was like, "Oh yeah, they always tell you to do the right things. Like, sit up straight. Don't bother your sister. Never mix beer and wine ever. Oh, and definitely don't drive on the railroad tracks." And then Rick Ducommun's like, "Yeah, that's one I tend to agree with."
Yeah. Well, the point I was getting at is, the one drunk guy, he mentions flapjacks like
Yeah.
early on, and then after they dodge the train and crash into that car after slamming through that giant groundhog thing.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
like,
the cop approaches the
He's
car.
like, yeah, don't worry, guys. I got this. Let me take care of it.
He's like, yeah, we'd like 2 cheeseburgers, 2 shakes or something. He's like, what do you guys want?
Yeah. He was like,
The flapjacks.
Flapjacks.
He's like, is it too early for flapjacks? But the fact that this drunk guy, he still remembers that he wants flapjacks.
yeah.
that always was funny to me. But Phil eventually, he's trying to figure out, all right, what's it going to take? I mean, he gets to the point where, he just, screw it. I'm just going to commit suicide over and over and over because fuck it. What's the point?
But then I think when it's finally all done with that, then it cuts back to the diner and Rita's sitting there. Now, one thing I thought about a little bit ago was, I wonder how many times, because there were some times when he was in the diner, it looked like he never even went to do the news report. It's like he just woke up and was like, fucking, I'm just going to the diner.
Yeah.
It just went there.
Yeah, because there is that one day where he's like, I'm not even going to do it. He hands the mic to Rita, and he's like, no, you guys take care of it. I'm going to be at the diner.
Yeah. But then when she goes and she was like, I think it just cuts right to her, and she was like, you are not God. And he was like, I'm not the God, but I'm a God. And he was like, you have no idea how many times I've died. He was like, I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I've been electrocuted. I've been hit by a bus. I mean, because you see him get hit by the truck. You see him. There's that one morning where he just goes downstairs, still in his pajamas, grabs the toaster and yanks it out of the wall and then goes back upstairs, gets in the bathtub, puts the toast down and just drops it in the water. So you have that day. You never see him get shot. You never see him get stabbed.
You see him,
but he jumps off like a church tower.
Oh yeah, he kidnaps the groundhog and he drives off of a cliff, like into a quarry.
Yeah,
with the groundhog in the truck with him.
But I do like Larry at the top, and he's like, "Oh no, he could be fine." And then the truck blows up, and he was like, "No, not now."
There's no way.
But then starts recording.
This is great news.
Yeah. Oh, there's Phil.
And there are some more touching moments.
I do like I don't know if he's the mayor or the governor when he does steal the groundhog and he takes off driving.
Oh, the one that's played by Bill Murray's brother?
Yeah. But when they get into the quarry and he goes around the corner and they just stop and he's like, perfect. He's like, there's only one way out of here. And it's this way. But then when he comes back around and the state trooper pulls out his gun, he's like, aim high. I don't want you to hit the groundhog.
Damn it, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sure it'll come back to you. Everything comes back around.
See what I did there?
But he, I mean, so many times he does this, and then he starts telling her, he's like, no, he's like, I know everybody in here. He's like, I know everyone. He was like, oh, this is Doris. Her brother-in-law owns this diner. She's worked here since she was 17. And then she was like, he's right.
Yeah, he passes by, other people. There's the newlyweds, or not the newlyweds, but they're about to be engaged or something like that.
They're engaged. They were getting married that day. He's like, but she's having second thoughts. And then the guy's like, hey. Did you recognize the guy?
Yes, General Zod.
Yes.
From Superman. Yeah.
Michael Shannon, I think is his real name.
I recognized him instantly, and I'm like, where the hell do I know him from?
Yeah.
And it clicked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's General Zod in the flesh.
Yep. And then I like the end because it's like his last day there, and he's done all this stuff where I think there's like one scene where you just see Rita and Larry walking up, and he's ice sculpting, and then Larry's like looks at Rita and he's like, did you know he could ice sculpt? And Rita's like, no. And I'm like, Rita's only known him for a day. Mm-hmm. Technically at this point she's only really known him for a day. Like she met him the day that they left to go to Punxsutawney, and that's it. And then there was Groundhog Day, so she was like, no, I didn't know. But then he does all these other like little things. Like there's the one day where he shows up with the coffee and the donuts and everything. He's like, oh, here, I got you guys coffee, donuts, and everything. He's like, I was just talking to the mayor, and he's like, I think that over there on the hill, like he said we could get a really good shot. I don't know. What do you think, Larry? And he's like,
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. And he goes to grab stuff, and he's like, no, you carry this heavy stuff all the time. Let me get it.
Yeah, so that's one of the moments that I was talking about. You just enjoy your coffee. It's like, this is where it's like, all right, well, let me turn over a new leaf. Let me try to be positive about what I'm going through and be nice to people. So, you have moments like that. And then he's I've got all this extra free time. I'm going to learn how to play the piano.
Yeah.
So he goes and finds this piano teacher, and she kicks the little girl out that she's playing like really well, some kind of like either Beethoven or like one of the classical pieces, and she just kicks her out because Phil offers her like a ton of money. Yeah,
he walks up and he was like, oh yeah, you teach piano? And she was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, oh, I'd like to get started right away. And then she was like, well, I can't, I'm with a student right now, but just come back tomorrow. And he's like, I have $1,000. And then she's like, come on in. And then the piano just stops, the door opens, the little girl gets pushed out.
The look on her face is pretty funny because it's like, what's happening?
Yeah. What happened?
I don't understand.
So is it over?
Are we done here?
And then of course it has to have like the sentimental, like tearjerker parts, because there's the part with the old man, the homeless guy. And Phil keeps trying to like, at first he just gives him like this huge wad of cash. He's like, here you go. And then the guy ends up dying. Then the next day he takes him. He's like, come on, come with me. He's like, we'll get you somewhere warm and everything, get some food. And he's like feeding him.
Yeah, he takes him to the diner. Like they're both eating soup, and then the old man finishes his, and then Phil just pushes his over so he can eat his as well. But every night the homeless guy dies.
Yeah. But when he's talking to him, it's just like one of those moments. And then I think took him to the hospital one time, and she was like, are you the one that brought the old man in? He's like, yeah, how is he? And she was like, well, he passed away, sir. And he was like, from what? And she was like, he was just old. And then he goes back there. He's like, I want to see the chart. So he goes back there, and then when she was like, it was just his time. Like he just died. And he was like, not today. And it's just like one of those ones where you're like, okay, no, hold it together, Dutch.
Yeah, and I think eventually he realizes that nothing he does is going to change that fact.
Yeah, it's not going to, like, he's not going to save him, so.
There is the kid that falls out of the tree that he runs, because it's happened so many times.
Yeah.
He like checks his watch, and he's like, oh shit. And he starts running down the sidewalk, and then this kid falls, and he catches him. And as soon as he puts him down, he runs out. He's like, you have never thanked me.
Yeah, he's like, what do you say? What do you say? And the kid just takes off. He's like, you've never thanked me, you little jerk. It's like, maybe I won't be here tomorrow.
Ass. Maybe I won't be here. He's like, maybe I'll be here tomorrow to save you. I don't know. Or it's like, maybe I won't.
But then finally, like the very last day, and he doesn't know it's the very last day. Like he has no idea. So he
does something different this day that he hasn't done yet, and that's he explains to Rita that he's been reliving this day, and he figures my last ditch shot is going to be being completely honest with her about it.
Yeah,
and it works. So he explains, like, I know all these people. This is so and so that's done this. This is so and so, and then. She starts kind of believing, like, okay, well, if you're actually reliving this day, then I'm just gonna stay with you the entire day just to see what happens. Eventually, they end up back at his place. Nothing funny. He doesn't try to pursue her romantically because he doesn't want to ruin anything. He just wants to let whatever happen.
Yeah.
She assumes that at midnight
he's just gonna disappear.
Reset.
Yeah. Well, and I thought that was funny because she looks at the clock and it flips over to 12, and she was like, you're still here. And he's like, yeah. He's like, no, it won't happen until 6 a.m. And she was like, oh, and he's like, I never said midnight. And she was like, you knew I was waiting for midnight. But then she falls asleep in the bed at like 3 a.m. And he's like, oh, I'll just read to you or whatever. So he's reading to her, but then she's fallen asleep. And then he's like, he starts confessing like everything. He's like, loved you since the moment I saw you. Like, goes on this really nice speech and stuff, and she's just like, and then she opens her eyes, and she's like, did she say something? He's like, no, don't worry about it.
He's like, I'm not even tired.
Yeah.
And this is the final day, and then 6:00 rolls around, and she's still there.
No, it's not
wait,
that day.
that's right. It wasn't that day.
Yeah. No, the final day is when at the very end of the day, they're Larry and Rita are walking up, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go check out this party. And I think I can't remember if it's Nancy or Doris. It might be Doris, the waitress at the diner.
Yeah.
I think it's her. And she's like, Rita's like, oh, well, let me just go call Phil. He's probably going to want to see this party. And she was like, Phil Connors? I think he's already inside. So they go in, and that's when he's up on the stage.
The piano, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing the piano with the band. And she's like, huh. And then it's funny because Rita makes her way up to the front, and she stands next to the piano teacher. And she was like, yeah, he's my student. She's like, oh. But it's just like every time he went to the piano teacher, he was just getting better and better and better. And she was like, so this is your first lesson? He's like, mm-hmm.
But to her, it's his first time.
Yeah. It's like the first and only time he's ever been there. So, and then I do like after he gets off the stage and everything, then the piano teacher starts playing. And then the mayor's like, oh, like we have the bachelors that we have to auction off.
Yes.
And then I think it was Doris, and she was like, Phil Connors, what are you doing down here? She's like, I got $5 that says you're mine. So he goes up, and then she's like, they start bidding on him, and then I think it's like $10, $20, $30, $35, $40, and then that's when Rita's like $339.88. And so then the mayor's like, we're not getting higher than that. Sold. But I like Larry's confidence, like right after, because he's just like, oh, like, let me get up there and get in on this.
Yeah, because they're trying to get another bachelor up on stage, and he gets up there. He's wearing one of his weird sweaters. And
he's just like, looks all frumpy, but the way he's like.
Yeah, he holds his hands out like feast your eyes, ladies,
And then, I
got
he's like,
two bits.
But I think it's funny because he was like, I'm going to start the bidding at $2. $1.50, $1, and then that little old lady is like, I got 2 bits, and he's like, sold for 25 cents.
Like, I never knew 2 bits was 25 cents until I saw this movie. But yeah, I think that was the one of the ladies that was in the car that they get the flat tire.
Yeah, that
Phil comes up out of nowhere with the huge car jack.
It's the guy from the motor club.
He's not from the motor club.
I do like that because he helps them and stuff, and they're like, oh, we got a flat tire, and then all of a sudden they just start bouncing up and down, and they look out the window, and he's like, oh, don't worry, ladies, I'll be done in a jiff. I was just here. I had the jack and the tire. I'll be done in a minute. And then but he sees the married couple at the wedding or at the party, and they come up and they're like, and the girl's like, thank you, Mr. Connors, thank you so much for showing me the errors of my ways. Like, yes, this is going to be the best. And he's like, oh, I have a present for you.
It's like wrestling tickets.
Yeah, WrestleMania. And then it's just so funny because, like, the girl, she gives Phil a hug, and the guy shakes his hands, kind of gives him a hug. But then the guy, like, kisses Rita on the cheek, and the bride is just like, and grabs the guy and, like, walks off sternly.
What does he say when he shakes Phil's hand? He says something weird, so aggressively, but it was like, he's like, yeah, you're not going to regret this. Or I can't remember what he says.
I can't remember either.
But yeah, this just everything fell in line on this day.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect day. And it ends up where Rita goes home with, well, not home, but, goes back to Phil's room.
Well, that's when I think they were heading back that way, and then she was sitting on the bench, and she was like, can I see it? She's like, I'm freezing. He was like, I'm almost done. Hang on, I'm just trying to get the cheeks just right. And he's sculpting her image in
out of
snow. Which seems impossible.
And the way that it looks like it was carved in stone almost.
Yeah. And then she was like, come on, I'm freezing. And he's like, what? I just want to make sure you're getting your money's worth. And then like turns it around. And she's like, oh, it's beautiful. But I mean, you have to think, well, it's been 6, 8 months, a year. Who knows?
He's learned how to do all this extra stuff. But he had multiple opportunities with Rita. And for movies like this, you have the obligatory, well, I screwed up. Let me do it different this next day.
Yeah.
You know, I screwed up again. Let me try this time. And I think the entire time is just, Phil is just trying to get her to sleep with him.
Yeah.
Eventually, he actually does fall for her.
Yes.
And it leads up to them actually having a relationship, you know?
Yeah.
Which is still weird because in Rita's mind, it's only been this one day.
Yeah.
Whereas for him, it's been, I don't know how many days. I think him filling her in, Phil. He filled her in with more than that. That she understands that he's gotten to know her.
Yeah.
Even if she has not experienced time in the same sense that he has.
Right.
So I think that kind of put her mind more at ease that he's not just some creep trying to get in her pants.
Yeah.
But the scenes where he's trying to get to know her and he's just screwing things up. And then you have that one scene where she slaps him just like back to back to back to back. Like you counted 9 times.
Yes, 9 times.
And I want to say the first time when he actually made an attempt, she's sitting at a bar and he meets her at the bar and, you know, he's ordering a drink.
Yeah, Jack Daniels on the rocks with the water.
And for you?
It's like, oh, I'll have a sweet vermouth with ice and a twist. And he's like, sweet vermouth, ice with a twist.
So then it cuts to the next day, like immediately,
it's
just
like the
to that
exact same scene.
Yep.
And he was like, oh, yeah. I was like, what? He's like, what are the chances of getting out of here? She's like, the van still won't start. Larry's working on it. And he's like, oh, buy you a drink? And she's like, okay. He's like, yeah, I'll have a sweet vermouth on the rocks with the twist. And he's like, and for you, ma'am? She's like, the same. It's like, that's my favorite drink. He's like, mine too. Reminds me of Rome. The way the sunlight hits the buildings in the afternoon. And then they get the drink and he was like, she's like, well, what should we toast to? And he's like, to the groundhog. And then she's like, I always toast to world peace.
So it's like that moment, he blew his shot.
Yeah. And then it shows the next day. He's like, he orders the exact same drink, says the exact same thing about Rome. And then she was like, what should we toast to? And he was like, if it's okay, I'd like to say a prayer and toast to world peace. And then she's like, to world peace. And he puts the glass up to his lips. He's like, amen.
Now, movies like this, where you're reliving the same day over and over, I kind of compare it to time travel almost.
Yes.
And I feel like if he does anything different, so this is a little bit different because it's not time travel, but if he does anything different, I still feel like it would impact other events.
Right.
Whereas in this movie, everything still happens the exact same way.
Yeah.
So, like, one little thing, if he doesn't go to the diner, does that one waiter drop that tray with all the dishes on it?
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
may happen, may not.
So stuff like that always, like, comes to mind.
Yeah.
With movies like this, is like, if his behavior changes in the slightest, do these other things still actually happen?
I know,
Like,
I've
I have
often
no
wondered
idea.
that as well.
You know, and then the days where he, like, when he goes out with Nancy Taylor, you know, does that change anything that happens inside the diner? Like, I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
And it's like, it's not relevant to the movie, but it still makes you think.
Yep,
for sure.
it sure does. But no, I think this one here is it's a solid movie, and it is one that has lived up.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, seeing as when it came out, I was young, and I think I felt like it was kind of a depressing movie when I was a kid, but as an adult, I appreciate the humor in it more.
Right.
You know, I didn't understand the humor, I guess, back then, but, you know, now I do, so I appreciate it. But then again, it is Bill Murray.
It is.
Bill,
that it is.
Bill fucking Murray. I don't mean to gush.
But I've been watching you since I could masturbate. Not that the two are related.
Oh, man. All right, well, this is a good one. Thank you all for listening, as always. And I guess without further ado, until next time.
Quotable Podcast out.